What's up guys, today we have Alex on the channel. He's a brown belt and a gym beast. Most will need a rest round after rolling with him or won't make eye contact with him in the first place if they don't feel like suffering. He's got a great top game and is incredibly hard to off balance. Because Alex has the underhook, I'm losing the grip battle, so I control the wrist to nullify his advantage. My head is also used as a frame to stop Alex from getting a deeper underhook. Now we are both pummeling our arms for underhooks. You sometimes see arm pummeling used as a warm-up, now you can see in real time the practical use of it. I shoot for the single and turn towards my head and direct Alex's hips towards the mats. My change in angle brought me close to Alex's lead leg and made it available to snatch up. For a single to work well, you have to keep the leg glued to you, your shoulder as close as possible. Alex is trying to get a Kimura. That's his specialty. I'm trying to do some hip switches to pass the guard, but to no avail. In the process, Alex gives up an underhook. He should have kept his right elbow closer to his body to prevent the underhook and potentially take his own underhook. I make space for my knee to come through. Now I grab his arm to keep his back on the mat, which will establish control and prevent him from regarding. This is very smart by Alex. I taught him well. He's using his T-Rex arms, meaning his elbows are glued to his body, and he's preventing me from grabbing his head. I emphasize this all the time. You cannot let people grab your head. I keep low on the hips because he's stopping me from grabbing his upper body. Alex tries to do a Heisman escape, which you'll see it happen again later in the video. I now control Alex loosely to see if Alex will make a mistake and give me an opening. I block his hips and spin around as he tries to grab my legs. Although you don't get points for style in rolling or tournaments, style points are still very important. That was smooth. Be careful not to knee your partner in the face if you try this at home. I'm talking to you, white and blue belts. You can't see great from this angle, but I use my crossface to put Alex's back on the mat. This will make it harder for him to escape. He abandons his attempt to get on his side and snag one of my legs and instead goes to hands on the hips. I find this opening to get an underhook and I want to use it to dismount to side control and get a far side armbar. Alex and I know each other's games very well, so he turns to the opposite side of what I need him to be. As a result, he exposes his back, but I'm unable to keep back exposure. I block his hip again to prevent his bottom knee from coming between us, which is what he needs to regard. I negate Alex's top knee by jumping around him. He grabs my leg successfully this time, but my sprawl weakens his grip. I attack with the arm and guillotine. I would have rather kept Alex on his side as it's a superior finishing position than mount. In an arm and guillotine, you need to curl your opponent's upper body, pushing the back of their head into the wrist. Similar finishing mechanics as an anaconda choke. In mount, your opponent can stiffen their body to prevent the curl. I switch to a one-arm guillotine as it's often easier to finish than the arm in from mount because you can still curl the head into the choke by basing on the mat with your hand. I couldn't get it though, and Alex transitions to an Ashigarami. Alex's heel is what's going to control me and stop me from doing things that I want to do. I'm having trouble pushing it to the outside, so I push it to the inside. I spin out of it as I clear the knee line. Let's look again. I push the heel down, spin, and take the underhook as I land on the ground. I bring my head to the correct side for side control. Alex attempts a Heisman escape, but I counter by trying to hook his arm with my leg and put him in the crucifix. I can't quite get it, so I hide my legs again so he can't grab them and start wrestling me. I transition to a body lock, but if I want to take the back, the over-under is better. I see Alex's forearm on the mat, so I trap his arm and take his back. I attempt this anytime I see the arm on the mat from Turtle. It's a trigger, meaning anytime you see it, you go for it. You see how I have my feet crossed? It's really not as big of a deal as people make it out to be if you maintain awareness of the possibility of being ankle locked. I trap Alex's arm with my top hook, and now with his other arm trapped, I have my one arm against his none. I go to smother Alex, but then I remember I don't want to look like a prick on YouTube. I do think it's a pretty legit submission though, but it's got a bad rap. I want to armbar Alex, but he's staying super heavy and preventing my leg from coming over his face. He manages to clear my bottom hook and get his hips off the center line, which is exactly what you want to do to escape. I managed to put the hook back in, but Alex has now got control of my arm and I'm losing the grip battle. My priority now is to keep my hips in line with Alex's hips. He wants the opposite. With the grip Alex has, I can't choke him. But I find my opportunity to loop my hand back through for the Kimura grip, and I'm so close to swinging my leg over his face for the armbar. Alex knows my game too well. Alex is a physical specimen and it's really hard to get anything going on him. He gets past my hip line again and goes right back to Ashigarami or single leg X, whichever one you want to call it. I always fight grips, and so should you. You don't want to let someone control you. They control you with their grips. Be careful spinning out of leg locks. I know what I'm doing. I know how to be safe. Look at this guillotine prevention. I keep my shoulder glued to my neck. Instead of taking the underhook like last time, I cross-face Alex to put him on his back. This opens up the opportunity to start working my arm triangle. I had a comment on one of my videos that said arm triangles only work if you're stronger than your opponent. Alex is stronger than me and has 20 pounds on me. Technique conquers all. With the right placement of your bicep on the neck, you should barely have to squeeze. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and remember, the biggest favor you can do for me is to like and comment. This will bless me in the YouTube algorithm, and I love reading comments. Even a fist bump gets the job done. Normally when I record these rolls, everyone just rolls too, but against Alex, this is a match that everyone wants to watch. I hope you guys like it too. I try to lift Alex into his saddle entry, but he has extremely heavy hips, so I transition to a butterfly guard instead. I want to use my head as a frame to stop Alex from putting me on my back. Look what Alex does though. He wins the battle of head positioning by bringing his head above mine. Now Alex can put me back to the mat. I try to scoot under him but have difficulty. I try to wrestle him but instead just end up transitioning to my half guard. I want you guys to really pay attention to what I'm doing in my half guard. Following and controlling Alex's grips is going to prevent Alex from setting up passes for himself and open up attacks for me. The more you win the grip battles, the more likely you are to win the war. I win the battle with this Kimura, and if I were to have finished, I would have won the war. But instead, I flip Alex over into this Kimura trap back take. You already know the slow-mo is coming. I'm unable to control Alex's hips for the finish, so I let him roll, knowing if he turns away, I can shoot my knee in between his elbow and his knee and take his back. The Kimura isn't just a submission, it's a versatile control grip with many attacks. If Alex would have turned away from me or stayed where he was, I would have came up for the Kimura submission. It's a pick your poison type situation. Escaping the back is a 3-step process. Step 1 and rule number 1, protect your neck. Step 2, get your hips off the center from your opponent's hips. Step 3, break the upper body control. Alex's 2 hands on my wrist is following step number 1. Alex performs step number 3 by breaking the control I have over his upper body. He tries to turn into me instead of getting his hips off center, but I do a little micro adjustment and take his back again. This time he gets his hips off center. I don't have upper body control, so he doesn't have to worry about step 1 or step 2. It's hard to see from this angle, but I think Alex tries for a Kimura, realizes he can't get it, so he shrimps out but loses my leg. This opens up for me this beautiful rolling back attack. Give me some more of those style points. It's hard to describe how to do this. I basically just YOLO it and trust/hope my leg dexterity and control will get the job done for me. I may have Alex's back, but with Alex this isn't a rest position. He constantly makes you work. While Alex escapes my back control yet again, let me know what your favorite submission or technique is right now. I've been on a huge guillotine phase lately. Alex escapes into my close guard, so I shoot up this high close guard, which is an extremely threatening position. I loop my hand under Alex's leg just to make it easier to change my angle. A 90-degree angle is needed to bring your leg over their face effectively. I should have put all my effort into finishing right now, because as he comes back down, he takes his rear naked choke type defensive grip. Alex uses it to pry his arm out. Important hygiene reminder, always shower before class. You don't want to be that guy. My first attack failed, so what do? I transition to the next attack. I don't feel bad for myself, I just get to work. I start attacking the leg using this K-guard type attack, but can't quite off-balance Alex enough. Alright guys, thanks for sticking around to the end of the video. If you did, please leave a comment or a fist bump, I really appreciate it, and I'll see you guys at the next one.